Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a source that lays out a traditional Ayurvedic approach for some really severe chronic joint pain. And just a quick heads up, this is all about breaking down the source material. It's not medical advice, so for any health stuff, you should definitely talk to a pro. So the source we're looking at kicks things off with a pretty intense picture. We're not talking about your everyday aches and pains here. Nope. This is about those deep, chronic conditions, the kind that can go on for decades and leave someone totally unable to move.
Yeah, the real focus is on the most severe cases, things like rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. We're talking about pain so bad that just getting out of a chair or, even turning over in bed becomes this huge, epic struggle every single day.
So, to deal with this kind of intense suffering, the speaker in our source brings up what they call a really powerful, and they use the word exclusive, natural remedy. It's something they claim works when pretty much everything else has failed. And at the heart of this whole remedy is one single plant, the harsingar tree. You might also hear it called parijat. It's the leaves that are the key ingredient here. In fact, the source calls them amrit or nectar for people dealing with these awful long-term joint issues. All right, so if this plant is the key to everything, you're probably wondering, how do you even find it? What does the source say you should be looking for? Well, the source gives us a really handy checklist. First, you're looking for these small white flowers. But here's the giveaway. They have these very distinct orange stems. And the smell? It's supposed to be super strong and pleasant. What's wild is that they only bloom at night, so by morning, the flowers have already fallen to the ground. Oh, and if you touch the leaves, they're supposed to feel kind of thorny or prickly. And get this, one of the big points the source makes is how easy it is to get a hold of. It's described as this really hardy, fast-growing plant. You can apparently just grab a seedling from a nursery and plant it at home. Super accessible. Okay, so you found the plant. Now for the most important part. How do you actually prepare it? The source lays out a very specific method for turning these leaves into the final decoction. The whole process is broken down into 6 simple steps. First, you grab about 6 or 7 leaves. You grind those up into a paste, like a chutney, maybe with a little water. Then you mix that paste into 1 glass of water. Step 4 is to boil that mixture until about half the water has evaporated. After that, you just let it cool down, and finally, you drink it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. That's the whole routine.
Now, this is where it gets really specific. The source lays out some pretty strict rules. You've got to make a fresh batch every single day, no leftovers. So you'd prepare it at night for the next morning, and whatever you do, don't reheat it. The speaker also says that if you want faster results, you should drink it without filtering it. But here's the biggest one. They call it an exclusive medicine. That means you're supposed to stop all your other remedies while you're on it.
And the source even gives different timelines based on what you're dealing with. So for that really chronic long-term arthritis, you're looking at about 1.5 to 3 months. But for something more acute, like the joint pain people sometimes get after dengue fever, it's a way shorter course, just 15 to 20 days. Big difference, right? All right, let's get to the final section, because this is where the source really broadens its scope. It takes this whole remedy and uses it to build a pretty powerful argument, an argument against a very common modern medical procedure. The claim here is, wow, it's incredibly direct. The speaker basically says, never get your knee joints replaced. Doesn't matter if a doctor recommends it. The fundamental idea is that what you were born with, what God has made, as the quote says, can't be remade by anyone. So that's a really strong stance, right? It makes you wonder, okay, where is this coming from? What's the logic behind such an absolute rejection of a common surgery? Well, the speaker's argument really boils down to a few key things. They bring up the case of a former Indian Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and claim his condition actually got worse after surgery. They also critique what they call this craze for foreign, specifically American degrees, and this leads to a bigger, more philosophical point, that a degree isn't the same thing as real knowledge, and that we should respect that knowledge over any piece of paper. So when you take a step back and look at the whole thing, you can see it's really a complete system being laid out. It starts by identifying this huge problem. Then it gives this very detailed step-by-step natural solution, and it wraps up with this deep philosophical challenge to the mainstream medical alternative. And that really leaves us with a big, thought-provoking question, doesn't it? Where does this kind of traditional knowledge fit into our world of modern, data-driven science? It's all about that tension, that push and pull between ancient wisdom and modern medicine, a debate that is very much alive and well today.